Good morning, everyone. I'm back again. Got a little bit of a very different kind of special report. I called together a couple of friends of mine, and the following video you're going to watch is a discussion that we had this morning on the topic of magnetics. From the geomagnetics of the planet down to the magnetic fields in our own body, and the other energetic fields around us that interact with them. Now, this has been a topic of conversation that we've been into on the One People Roundtable show on and off for a long time. We very much delved into it 2 shows ago, and I'll put the link with this, so if you really want to get into the full discussion, you can go back and review it. From these shows, though, from the different conversations that we've had, there's been a lot of information that is coming forward that feels very relevant. So I'd like to invite you to sit back and have a listen to the conversation, see what you take from it, and let me know.
I just started saying to Peter, I've been really interested in these transient symptoms for, I don't know, about 16 years, I suppose, because they're not pathology. We know they're not pathology because you can have, you know, what feels like a sprained ankle one day and the next day it's gone, you know, and then you'll have something else, or you'll have a whole area of your body will just stop working, and they're different systems, so there's no way that they're, you know, that this is any kind of pathology, so it has to be energy. And for a long time I was, you know, you can read about people were going on about ascension symptoms and
chemtrail flu and
all of that. Like, but reading that proving was really extraordinary because it did cover pretty much everything that that we've been bothered about, I suppose you could say. So the next,
because one of the things is it wasn't necessarily in the specific. So like some of the things were typical of proving, things like in the morning felt this, and so maybe you don't feel it in the morning, maybe you feel it in the evening, but the symptoms are just too exact. The random pains, the weird sensations, etc., all over the body at seemingly random times. And like you said, they start here and you wake up and you're like, okay, my thumb hurts so fucking bad, I feel like I've broken it. And then the next day it's fine, but the next day it's your big toe on your left foot. These are not physical things. These are not, like you said, it's not like you've injured if you throw a baseball or you have a repetitive motion and you have a shoulder problem, okay. But if you just have random intense shoulder pain for no reason, and everyone does, like, and it's not just you, but like all of a sudden you've got like 15 friends who've all got, oh, my shoulder hurts so bad today. It's like, okay, wait. Wait.
Yeah, exactly. So the question then is, what do we do about it? Because I'm really interested to see if we can do something to alleviate some of the more serious pains that people have. A lot of them are, you know, they're okay, they're transient, you get used to them. But there are some that I think that we could help people with. And for me, you know, just looking at the proving of the magnets really made me start to think again about the environment, EMF. You know, we are in an almost intolerable energetic environment already, never mind whatever the heck is coming at us from out there. So perhaps, I mean, I was thinking we could probably put together some kind of protocol, starting with very simple things for balancing, you know, just drink water, ground yourself, whatever, you know, and move on then to the potential for all of us, probably in Malta, to put something.
Going to do some hardcore testing in Malta. That's right.
Oh, yeah.
All of you, we're coming. You're all guinea pigs. Yeah.
We'd be stirring a big pot or something. But
Well, that makes it all tax deductible, of course.
well, that's it. You have a tax deductible. But I don't know. I was just saying to Peter, you know, as a homeopath, it's very difficult to treat these transient symptoms because they're not latched into the body. They're just, you know, by the time you found a remedy, they're gone again.
Yeah.
So from a homeopath's point of view, difficult to treat. With essences, they're more easy because the essences work very quickly and you just choose them very intuitively. But I'm really interested to hear about the magnetics, and I know Peter knows a lot more about magnetics than I don't know anything about them. And I'd love to hear, Danny, about your notions as well, and also whether you've tried a magnet.
I haven't had, I have several magnets, and unfortunately I have been so swamped for the last 2 weeks with multiple research projects ongoing all at the same time, and so I haven't had a chance to get into specific research of the various magnets that I have, because choosing the right magnet to play with is obviously going to be important, right? So
Very important.
So one of the things though that came to me when I was joking about it on the show and saying I'm going to like start playing with some magnets, and I started thinking about poles and North Pole, South Pole, and our own magnetic fields. And then I got to the thing, I was like, well, it's not like you can walk around with like, you know, a magnet glued to your head. Well, I mean, I guess you could, you know, we'll shave a little spot here and like get some crazy glue and stuff. Possibly not the best idea. The one thing that came to me very strongly though is that a lot of people feel sensations, feel trigger points, if you will, at the base of the skull.
Yeah.
At the back of the neck.
Yeah.
And that's where people see energetic things. I myself have had a lot of experience dealing with attachments and pulling attachments out of people. This seems to be one of the main trigger points. So one of my thoughts was I was actually going to play with working with a magnet there at the back of the neck. It was much easier to make like, you know, like a necklace than gluing something to the top of my head. The other one was...
That's the one I showed you.
Which one, love?
That's a small magnet. I just showed it to Anne.
Yeah.
And I use that when I have trouble in this spot. I use this magnet, just the North Pole, and just go over it slow. You know, just go over it very slowly.
Okay. So.
And it's just and it's that energy, that North Pole energy, for me, that works.
Well, here's my thought was the other important part of our body, like when you kind of talk about various therapies, is you talk about cranial therapies, and there's multiple different kinds, and of course, in your feet.
Yeah.
So one of my things that I thought of that I'm going to try is I have a couple of very small flat magnets where, again, the poles are on the flats, not on the ends. Putting them in my shoes.
God.
It's almost like a grounding, not grounding, but more of an aligning maybe. I don't know. It's a thought that I'm playing with. Like I said, I haven't had a chance to pull them out and really do some hardcore, but I have multiple kinds of magnets around the house. That's one of the thoughts that I had of kind of like almost like using them as the 2 points in coherently together, i.e. if you've got, say, South Pole on your feet and North Pole on your neck, maybe helping to kind of re-strengthen, or vice versa. I mean, that's, I guess, one of our big things that we have to test is figure out which ends, which poles are where, so to speak.
Peter, what do you have to say about that?
Well, if you test on people, magnetically, you will find the North Pole up here and the South Pole down there. But that's just in general. Right. North Pole here, and and South Pole near your feet. But that's just the total package. But if you go in more into detail, you will still find that North Pole here, South Pole there. Even on a cell, you will find the North Pole there and the South Pole there. So it's the alignment of all these things that determine the total magnetic field.
Exactly.
So, for instance, if you test an organ, like the heart or the liver, doesn't really matter. You can, with the dowsing rod that I use, you can test the amount of North Pole and South Pole energy in it, and it should have a certain ratio. And that ratio is the, how do you call that, the golden ratio. Wherein the North Pole should be stronger than the South Pole. And you can, well, I won't go into details, but that's how it works.
Okay, so first of all, why is the North Pole stronger than the South Pole?
That's a very good question. I have tried to find out what magnetics are. No way you will find that out. Nobody knows. They can tell you what it does.
Yeah. Well,
not
it's like
what it is.
Yeah, like gravity, right?
Yeah.
You know what gravity does, but what actually is it? Yeah, exactly.
To me, gravity is one of the products of magnetics, but that's just a belief. I can't prove it.
I think that's the point. No one can prove anything.
No.
Yeah.
But the fact is that magnetics are so far stronger than gravity. It's 10 to the 39th power or something like that. That's 1 to the 10th 39th power. And so the only thing you know about magnets is what they do. And basically, in my opinion, what I find is that they're a motor, because they have this energy in them that makes the smaller parts, the nuclei, turn. They always make a right turn if the magnetic fields are in alignment, in this golden ratio alignment. The nuclei will turn to the right and everything will be okay. Because in turning to the right, they create their own magnetic field and their own electrics. So from that, you get a very good communication system between all parts that turn to the right and connect to each other. You get a whole. Now, if they don't turn to the right or they turn to the left, you don't have communication and you get all kinds of symptoms and so on and so on and so on. The biggest problem, Anne already told us, is that we're living in a magnetic, electromagnetic world where the magnetics and the electrics are way off. So that was one of the reasons why I put in that post about putting magnetics on your electrical system in order to get that golden ratio in your electrics and in your magnetics, so that it doesn't fluctuate as much at home as it used to do. You know, just to get a stable, more or less stable energy field in your house. Because you have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. You have to start somewhere. I mean, we can wait for the answers, you know, for someone to come up with the all-encompassing answer, but I mean, chances are it ain't gonna fucking happen.
No.
So we start somewhere, and if we can look, so in the micro, instead of the macro of the planet, look in the micro of your house, of your body, start there, and perhaps we can get a little more understanding of our own magnetic fields that we can then expand out.
Yeah. And from a practical point of view, the pragmatist, the homeopath, if we're going to stay in this body, I think we do need to have some protocols in place to get through this next stage. My work is predominantly with sensitive children. That's my job. That's what I do. And they're having a dreadful time, dreadful time, So
I have one of those myself. And oh yes.
Yeah.
And you talk about a roller coaster ride at the moment.
Yeah. Off the charts for them.
We should take some essence of yours, and I'll take some of those tubes with me.
We'll come with supplies, Danik.
We'll get everyone all supplied out and well, just slightly going back, have you actually found the homeopathics, the two magnetic ones, Australis polaratus?
Yeah, that's one. Now, as I was saying to Peter before you joined us, the most interesting thing for me coming across those provings was simply the listing of symptoms. I was like, wow. So I've been looking at these symptoms for, 16 or more years and wondering what the heck is going on. Because they're transient, they're not pathology. So what do you do? And yet they really bother people. They interfere with our energy. It's an annoyance, to put it mildly.
Screaming headache is a screaming headache, regardless of what caused it. Yeah.
And it messes up your day. So finding those provings for me was, wow, okay, so there's one coherent answer here on a level to what's going on, and that is that our magnetics can cause this symptom picture. Now, as a homeopath, and I think Peter would reckon is in his field as well, if somebody came to me with those symptoms, I wouldn't necessarily be giving them this remedy, because we individualize the case and we look more at the mental emotional picture and blah blah blah. So but it did make me think, okay, we really do need to focus on our environment, the electromagnetics, on making sure that I want to talk to Peter about polarity reversal in a minute. I'm just checking. It's like we've been aware of the effects of EMF on sensitive people for a long time. And there are people who have extreme reactions to these energies, and that's all been noted. But I think what I didn't realize is that possibly we are all, living in an EMF stew and being bombarded and pulled, by the various forces, natural and very unnatural as well. And so it's a good time to put a few protocols together and start looking at, the potential to pool the knowledge that we have, and put a bit of it. And like you say, the micro and macro, I think, is very, very interesting, that we are going to learn by looking at, the smallest. It's absolutely, as far as I can see, I don't know, my notion of things changes on a minute by minute basis these days, but the as above so below rule does seem to hold true today anyway. So we will learn from looking at the minutiae, if you like. Peter, I wanted to ask you about what is known in kinesiology as polarity reversal. It sounds to me that that's what you were describing when you were saying that you know, the golden ratio was not in place.
That's
So-
right. If that's not in place, you get a reversal. The nuclei will change and it will turn to the left
Okay.
instead of to the right. And that creates a blockage,
Okay.
an energy blockage.
Mm.
And it can be very small. And the bigger it gets, the more sick you get. But that's how it starts energetically.
Okay. Now,
The thing is that we do have, how do you call that? Not AC current.
yeah.
That means it goes like this.
Mm.
When you have the other current, DC, I think you call it, the current will just go like this. It goes in one direction. But as the current nowadays goes like this, the magnetic fields also do that. So can you imagine what happens to your body?
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
basically it's a mess.
It's a mess, isn't
And
it?
your body has to find out what it should do.
And how to rebalance.
And how do you balance with your mind not even knowing what's going on, not even telling your body what it should do.
Right. And
So if you're not aware of that, what's happening, it's not only putting, for me, magnets on your electrics, but also be aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
It's doing the magnetic field and the awareness of what's going on that might help you to get yourself into a total new frame, more stable frame of mind and body.
well, and this is, pardon me, they've been chemtrail spraying for 2 days solid here. And now, of course, I've got the, slugs in my throat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's delightful. We talk about the fields. And we talk about, for example, they work, our fields, multiple, work in balance with each other. So the magnetic field and the electrical field, they're always in a balance point, right? So that's one of the things to me is that if the magnetic field is rocked off, like you're talking about, even like turning to the left instead of to the right where it should, that's going to knock the rest of your field out of whack. It is got to have a cause and effect to the electrical field. So when all these fields, and we're surrounded, planetarily, we know the geomagnetic fields of the Earth are seriously fucked up right now. But we're surrounded by massive magnetic fields that are let's say, artificial. Whether you're talking CERN, whether you're talking, and linear colliders and the various types of hadron circular colliders, they're all over the planet. Everyone always wants to look at CERN, but they're fucking everywhere. Hundreds of the damn things. Whether you're talking about ELFs, ULFs, Wi-Fi frequency, Gwen towers, HARP, every single piece of that plays a part in our own fields.
Yeah.
So if they're continuously battling to try and reposition, and obviously, like you said, Peter, unconsciously, most 90% of the time, we're not going to be conscious that that's what our bodies or our fields are trying to do, is rebalance themselves. But if we can bring it to a conscious point where we can consciously work on it,
Yes.
recognize it, and then be able to say, oh, wait, this is what I need to work on, or at least get a feel for it. Now, I find it really, really interesting because, Peter, you do so much work with dowsing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a huge believer in dowsing. I have seen amazing things, and I've dowsed for years. I've been a dowser for like 30 years. For basic stuff like finding water underground, finding electrical lines underground, etc. I taught my husband Nick had to do it, and he used to walk around on the construction site, with all these, hard, tough construction workers, and he'd walk around with his little rods, and they'd be like, "What are you doing?" He says, "Well, we got to dig here, so I'll find the gas lines." Ding, and he'd find them every time. It used to drive everyone nuts because he's so not woo-woo, right?
Yeah.
And yet it doesn't matter whether you believe in woo-woo or not, it fucking works. So I want to talk about the dowsing aspect. Is there a piece to that we can use as a diagnostic tool?
Yeah, definitely. Because I just showed Anne that in this dowsing rod, I use a magnet. This is a magnet.
Okay.
You see the red, you see the blue.
Ah, okay.
Goes to the south. So I can find the magnetic fields. And I can quantify them.
Interesting.
On a spot or on a body or in general. So that's how I use them.
When you're going over a person, and I don't know, and maybe this is something that we should definitely experiment in Malta in May, doing a little dowsing experiment to see, because like I said in the show, I don't know, was it 2 shows ago, where I showed the picture of the magnetic field that Lisa sent me, of how it should be around the planet, and then how it is, like, and it's all like in a big, like a snarled ball of yarn.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at the body as the same representation, macro and micro, as above, so below, all of that stuff. The human body, and that's what I said at the time, I strongly suspect that our own minutiae fields are going to represent the same kind of fuck-uppery.
Mm.
So if we could use the dowsing rods and maybe look at the minutiae fluctuations within the fields of the person, can we then correlate a way to smooth it out? What do you think?
Yeah.
Mm.
Depending on what's going on.
Mm.
If you have
There are a lot of variables.
Well, and that's
variables, yeah.
absolute. And this is the variables are, I mean, what's in the sky at that moment? What's going on underneath you at that moment? What's going on up, is the Wi-Fi jacked up in 15 houses around you at that moment? Absolutely. Ooh.
But I can create a field, a room.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
in balance. That's in total balance. That's easy to do. So in that room, you can start testing on the person.
Wow.
I have an idea too. So that when everyone comes for the gathering, that I'm trying to arrange a tour of all the temples, the ancient temples here, with Francis Alosio, who is, bar none, the guy has got 20 years worth of homework into these ancient temples. Why don't we turn that as part of an exercise? Maybe do a couple of readings prior to, and then within the various temple areas, do a few more readings. I have suspicions about the placement of the temples in Malta. Very strong suspicions that they're all on high energy points. And I'd like to kind of just maybe see if we can just play with that as a little aspect too. Just if it's a measurable thing that we can quantify.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Oh, this is going to be so much fun.
How exciting. Wow. Because I had also mentioned to Danny the notion of, Danny makes the most amazing creams I have ever had. Peter, you're going to have to bring a suitcase for your wife.
Oh, Peter knows. Peter's bought some of my oils.
I have not told my daughters that I'm going to Malta.
Otherwise, you will have to bring a separate suitcase. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because early on in my experiments with this, I went through a phase of getting bone pain at night, and I put some essences into a cream, and I put the cream on because bone pain is really hard to get to.
Yeah.
Put a bit of cream on, and the pain just went, just disappeared.
Nice.
So that got me thinking about, the topical application where it's not necessarily practical to use a physical magnet, that we could possibly do something energetically.
Well, this is what I've been playing with, and this has been a huge thing for me with getting Gaia's Gardens back up and running again.
Yeah.
Is I actually want to very much play with the setting of certain things, the intent, the magnetics, etc. Maybe we'll run that as a little test thing that we'll do on in May too.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I like it. Guys, I'm going to cause a pause.
Wow.
Hey, that really would be fun.
Yeah.
To get these in, I think we have to work with intentions.
Yeah,
I think so.
And then the right intentions. That's also something we want to work on with what's her name, with Dawn.
Yep.
And her wife.
Yep.
We'll have to work with intentions and healing power of water. Aha.
Well, but this is the whole thing. Water we use as an example, and water is really, really unique. And because we drink in it, we swim in it, we bathe in it, we shower in it, we water the gardens with it, people tend to not think of water as anything special. Water is really fucking special and extremely unique in its properties.
Yep.
It has properties that no other element does anywhere. And it kind of amazes me the more and more that I look into it. But I think that can also translate over. It doesn't have to be just water. First of all, everything contains water molecules. You talk about your salad.
Yep.
It's got water molecules in it, right? I mean, if you're talking about your juice that you're drinking, it's your tea, it's all got water molecules. Any molecule of any kind should be intentable.
Yeah.
Intentable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So this is, with the work that Dawn does, I really want to see this. I hate that we're spread all over fucking continents all over the place, because there's so many pieces and so many people coming forward, little pieces that I'm like, if only I could just be there right now and we could just dive into this and work on this right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll crack teleporting while we're over in Malta. You never know.
I'm all for it. So, what can we do? Yeah, go ahead, Peter. You go ahead.
Now, this has to do with Dawn. And also to find a general energy to be put out to people. Not a specific, one sick person and the derived energies you want to send to them. I don't think we should get into that. There's no way. Or they have to be very sick. But just general energies. Well, how do you get general energies onto that system? It just has, you can choose from a few thousand frequencies. That's about it. And it can put out 8 frequencies at the same time. Well, that's nice, but what do you do with it? So I was thinking about using water and put, I can heal. So if I see a picture,
yeah,
I just heal the water. I've got very good water here. It's how do you call it?
Wow.
Water. And I have all kinds of energies that I put in it to really make it balanced, harmonious. So I can heal then that piece of water with the attention of that photo that I have of somebody. And all the energies, that the healing energies, will be transferred into the water. Then I can make a picture of that water, send it to Dawn, and she can put it on that fancy machine of hers with the picture of the patient.
Yeah. When you're dealing with the specifics, especially specifics.
That's specifics. But you can also put on the unfuckers room. Why not?
Yep.
We're all attached to it.
Yep.
And how they do it up there, I have no idea. But I'm sure of the fact that it will end up with all unfuckers.
Yeah.
It's called radiotronics.
Yeah. Yeah, just a bit.
If we could find some cure or whatever in Malta, and we have an how do you call that? Oh, it's so hard to speak English. And we have a procedure. We can put that in place, and we'll just start working on that and see what happens. But I think the main thing is that the people should know that they are living in a very violent, energetic environment, and what they can do about it, if they do it or not, that's up to them.
Yeah.
We should give them the opportunity to know it and to do something about it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think it would be quite easy to put together just a sheet of simple protocols. There's so many. Every modality has a way to balance, essentially. So we could put together a list of things that people could just look at and do for themselves.
Absolutely.
And most particularly for the children. I mean, my God, I often advise parents to have 2 electrical circuits, to have the fridge and the freezer maybe on a different circuit so they can switch off the electrics at night. There's a lot of things that we can do to help them, because I think that this is just going to get more intense. I don't know about you, Danny, but it's like we're in the last stages of a labor, and it's going zoom, zoom, zoom.
Welcome to transition.
Yeah.
That's what this is. It's transition.
Yeah, transition, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's like, I think it's, it's quite important that we, or at least it would be helpful for people if we can, if we can make this as easy as possible. And that's my intention for this, for this to be as easy as possible. Whatever this is, that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
Don't know what this is, but let's just try and make it easier.
Yes.
Okay, so here's the intent I would like to set then for right now in this conversation. I'd like to put out this recording because I know that it's going to trigger people to come forward with more pieces.
Yeah.
And we'll get people, kinesiologists, and we'll get all different kinds of people coming forward. And I really think it's important that we start bringing people together in this discussion. I'd like to kind of, maybe over the next week, let's see if we can't kind of put together a very simplified, a starting point protocol. It doesn't have to be all intense and full of multiple details, but something that's maybe just a little bit simple. And if you have got, I don't know if you've had a chance to really play with the homeopathics, the 2 different homeopathics, but if you've got someone who's a trusted supplier of them, if we could include that information for those people who want to take that step and try, I know I do, definitely want to try the homeopathic route and take a look at the cause and effects. Maybe we can even make our own provings with those of us who are going to partake in that. But I'm always worried, like it's like you got to make sure you've got a good supplier, someone who you're getting a good quality product from. Otherwise, it's a moot point. Does that sound good with you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
And also maybe, Anne, how do you how do you know that the product is good for you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Good.
that's
Good point, Peter. Thank you.
It's to do with the make of a product. One make of a product may be fine for you, and the other make won't do the work. And you can feel it, but there are also little tests to do it. And maybe you know more about that. I just use my dowsing rod, and that's it.
Sure. I douse.
Oh, yeah.
If we were dealing in one-to-one situations as you and I would be doing in practice, it's very simple. We just choose. With the sensitive children, actually, Danny, they know exactly what's good for them. You know that. They would choose. They know exactly whether they want to be in the field of this or not. Yeah. So I think from my observation, a lot of people in the UU room are in the super sensitive area, probably, and would be able to choose. I think that we could put that at the top of the document, that just use your intuition, ask your energy body, to open up if you want something, and it closes if you don't. So I think pretty much everyone should be able to choose for themselves which part of the protocols they want to use, and whether or not they want to try the homeopathy. Because actually the homeopathy can be downloaded into a glass of water. You don't actually need to get the pill. This is homeopathy was a step from molecular medicine to energy medicine. And it's taken, this was put together in the late 1800s, but they had to put it on a pill because at that time people thought that medicine came in pills. Now the sad thing is that here we are in 2017 and people still don't believe there's anything in here. We haven't made much progress in that way.
Yeah, funny how that works with anything that works and they can't license or make money off of.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can put stuff together, and I can show people. I can do a little simple thing about how to download this into a glass of water if you want to.
Perfect. Okay. Awesome. I think we have a jump off point. And Peter, if you would mind, could you maybe, there's a lot of people who don't know much about dowsing. Could we maybe write up a little about how to make your own dowsing rods? I just literally get like heavy gauge copper wire and I bend them to a nail, and that's what I use. And I've always used, and I've used them out of sticks. I found driftwood that I've used, whatever. But some people may want to have, if they want to go the way of starting to experiment and using dowsing, if you could maybe just a little instruction, like how to make a dowsing rod or something along those lines.
Yeah. I only have experience with this one, which you hold like, and you can pinpoint. You also have the ones, the two rods.
That's what I use.
And they cross yes or they do that.
Yep.
I don't know when they do that and when they don't. I have no experience with that, but
well, maybe I'll have to write up something about using the two rods then.
These are easy to make.
Okay.
Because basically it's just, you can see it, there's it's a wire.
Right.
So forget about the plastic. It's just a wire that goes like this. Well, I'll make something. And
just
then,
a little easy step explanation for people if they want to go that way and play with that.
Yeah. Okay, I'll do that.
Awesome sauce. I'm really excited by this. Like really, really excited by this. So I'm gonna let you guys go. And I'm gonna go pull up my dowsing rods and just play a little bit myself. Mm-hmm. And then let's touch back again in another week or so, and we'll see what we've come up with if we have any more ideas on this. And I want to throw this out to the Unfuckers room as well. And well, to the general public, but to the Unfuckers room, and let's get them involved and see what they think.
Okay, fine.
Awesome.
Brilliant.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you in Malta.
See you in Malta.
You.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.